Thank you all for being here this morning. Your attendance helps support local community journalism, and leading the effort of our local community journalism is your MC for this morning's Rising Stars Breakfast. Please give a warm welcome to my colleague and friend, the executive editor of the Telegraph Herald, Amy Gilligan.
Good morning. This is a nice looking group. Everybody have their I love Rising Stars because it gives us an opportunity to tell the stories of the people who are, as the name implies, on the rise. I feel like my generation was the first generation to start talking about work-life balance, but this generation coming up behind us is, what we meant was the balance between work and family. And in this generation, that they look at it in a different way, that it's not just work and family, it's not enough. They need to find room in their lives for volunteering and for giving back and serving the greater good. A lot of people find inspiration and motivation in our parents' generation, and I would say to these rising stars that I'm inspired by you and by your generation. So I see a lot of generosity and compassion and open-mindedness in this group, and that's what I really find inspiring. So we're proud to share the spotlight today on the 2024 Rising Stars who are all those things and excelling in their careers at the same time. We celebrate today in partnership with our sponsor for this event, Dubuque Bank and Trust, and we are grateful for their support, and we'll start with their video. With that, I would like to introduce Nick Patrum. As a commercial banker, team lead, senior vice president at DB&T for more than 15 years, with more than 15 years of commercial banking experience, Nick assists middle market companies, primarily in the Dubuque market, in meeting their financial goals by providing tailored, holistic financial solutions with a focus on growth and efficiency gains. Nick's active in his community, having served in numerous roles on local nonprofits, including Hills and Dales Foundation and Camp Albrecht Acres. He was a member of the 2022 class of Rising Stars. Please join me to welcome Nick Patrum.
Good morning. My name is Nick Patrum, and it is my pleasure to be here today on behalf of DB&T. Thank you all for being here to help celebrate our 12 Rising Stars. Looking through the prestigious list of previous and current Rising Star candidates, it is clear this award recognizes individuals with great capabilities. Many of the names are recognized for their success in careers and business. But importantly, we see a list of individuals who truly care about the place they live and the people who reside here. This shines through in the generosity of every single Rising Star, not only with their talents, but also with over 500 employee volunteer hours, supporting over 100
development of the 200 plus
$20. Anyone to the Rising Stars can come up here and grab the $20 from up at the top. There's $20 up here on the podium. Can everyone hear me? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure. Can everyone hear me? Again, there's 20. All right. Congratulations. Hold on. Come on up. Come on in. Congratulations. Let's introduce yourself. Is rich with multi-generational whether you're a multi-generational family business or you're a new entrepreneur or you're a hired gun like I am, right? We are recognizing you as the next generation of leadership for our community. And so what that means is that you've got to take that baton. And so what we just described here is that everyone in this room had an opportunity. Did you hear me when I asked you, could you hear me? Yes, right? Did you hear me when I said that there's $20 up on the podium? Yes, okay? But what did it take to get up here? Gumption, right? So I'm a financial analyst at my core. I'm a banker at heart. And so if you take this problem and break it down, right, I believe that showing up is half the battle. So literally being in this room today, like, puts you in a 50% chance to go win the bag, win the prize, right? But showing up. So give yourselves a round of applause for showing up and being here and in the room. Putting yourself in a position to be successful is about 30% of the problem, right? So if you were a big sponsor like DB&T over here, right, you had an opportunity to sit up at the front of the room, right, and you could be right up there, right? That's what it means by putting yourself in a position to be successful. So if you're in a room, no matter big or small, if my kids are in a room today and they have a choice, I hope that they're sitting at the front of the class. Maybe, maybe not. But that's what you need to do. Put yourself in a position to be successful, right? So then the next 10% is hard work. So what did hard work mean in this exercise? What did it mean to work hard to get this money? Run, walk, stand up, get up, do something, right? It literally just meant walking up to the front of the room and taking the opportunity that was before you. Don't leave money on the table, right? And if you're a nonprofit leader and you have an opportunity to, let's say, secure funds for yourself, for your community, for your cause, take it. Take it. Too many of us let opportunities, let's say, go by because we're not willing to work hard, right? And then the last 10% is luck. Is luck. It's literally, right? You could have, once we saw that it was real, right, and you kind of come through, what happened? You got about halfway, but what happened? What happened? You almost went back. Why? Everyone was watching, right? It's hard. It's hard putting yourself out there. It's difficult because you don't know if it's a trick. You don't know if, hey, I shouldn't be motivated by $20. I shouldn't, let's say, care. I don't want to differentiate myself. But guess what? You're different. You're different. You're not here because you're the same. You're not here in this room being recognized as a rising star because you're not willing to put yourself out there. So embrace it. Take it. Take it. Don't ever second guess. You had the right instincts, but some reason between these 6 inches, you got halfway and say, I'm going to turn around. Don't ever do that. And so each and every one of you, when there's an opportunity to take advantage, take it, okay? So then you think about luck, right? Just think about your own physical health, right? 6 weeks ago, what were you doing? Having a baby. Having a baby. Right? This gets scheduled 4 weeks, whatever. You're not physically here, right? 3 weeks ago, let's say, still recovering, maybe not physically here. So there's luck. So when you have the opportunity, right? Someone may have been injured. Maybe, let's say they are mobility challenged, or today they're sick. Any number of different things. Take advantage of what is most precious, and that is our health. And we have a clean bill of health. We're in the room. We're showing up. And so this is what we have to be able to move forward with, right? So again, showing up is half the battle. Putting yourself in a position to be successful is 30%. Another 10 is working hard. And then the last 10% is luck. But more than anything else is just to be able to be willing to understand that in order to do great things, you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to fight for it. So we just welcomed back to our community, we announced flydbqair.com, right? So for a very long time, we have a beautiful airport in our community, and we don't have the opportunity to fly to Chicago or fly anywhere else in the world, right? Millionaires and billionaires are flying to Mars, and we can't get to Chicago. Not on our watch. Not on our watch, right? And so we have to understand that in a community of our size, right, American capitalism, this isn't political, isn't necessarily always set up for communities of our size. Because many businesses say, hey, I want to build a family entertainment center. We call it Dave & Buster's. They say, no, we only come to communities about 1 million and over, right? So in order for us to have nice things, we had to develop something. And so we call it Island Social. And later this fall, we're going to open up a great family entertainment center because we deserve nice things. But there's a big concept here. We deserve nice things doesn't mean we get to have it. You got to work for it. Right? So we hire Gigantic, and what are you guys doing right now? Is helping us design the development, design the component in order to bring this to our community. So you use what you have to get what you want, right? And so what you are being bestowed upon today really is the baton of leadership of our community. Like it or not, you are being put up as the next group to be able to walk in. 3 years ago, your father handed me a sheet of paper. It was a big stack. It was called the Master Plan of Schmidt Island Development. He took me around in a car 15 minutes before my interview and just said, hey, take a look at here, take a look at there. What are we going to do? How are we going to do this? But ultimately, he was saying is like, hey, we need your help to, let's say, get us organized and go do great things, right? And so what I'm saying to you is you've got to help me because I need your help. I need your help to take upon that next mantle of leadership because it's not all going to come from the private sector. It's not all going to come from the public sector. It's not all going to come from nonprofit and charity. We've got to take the sweat equity that each and every one of you have to go get what we want, right? And that same thing is true for each of your organizations, each of your institutions, but each of you individually. And so you have a solemn obligation, not only just to accept this award, to put it on your LinkedIn, to be proud, you have a solemn obligation to do something to bring someone else along. Because if you do not, it will be in vain. It will be in vain. And so as you take not only these funds, as you take all of this love, this support that each and every one of us has to do, we've got to make sure that we pay it forward. And so I congratulate you. And so I'd like you to turn around and look at your family, look at your colleagues, look at your peers, and not only look at the pride that they have in you, but take that pride that you have in our community. So let's turn around, and ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Rising Stars of here in Dubuque. Now, if you didn't finish your bacon, head back to the tables. I heard it's good, but thank you guys for coming. Thank you for coming. I will be brief. Again, Alex Dixon, I humbly serve as the president and CEO at Q Casino and Resort and DRA, and I fundamentally believe every bit of the message that I shared. We live in a great community. So many of you over the last 3 years have embraced not only me, my family, our kids, and we're grateful for it. My mother-in-law moved here, my father-in-law, my brother. There's 8 of us in our household. We had my nephew who came out during the summer because this is a great place. My parents, every time they come, just absolutely love it. Once they got here, they said, "Oh, Alex, we get it. We get it." And so we are on the precipice of, really taking off as a community. I describe all the time, spend a lot of my time talking not only to bankers, but talking to developers, talking to other people that we want to attract capital, let's say, to our community, and we have to espouse the benefits that are here. But this is literally like a halftime in the game of life as it relates to the precipice of where we are. For the last 40 years, we've been coming out of a deficit. Our generation that came before us, literally, who stuck it out, who came here, have now put us in a position to go be successful. So if you are involved in a company, we need your company to be great. Whether you are acquiring or being acquired, we need you to put Dubuque at the first of your thoughts, prayers, and we need you to deploy capital. We need you to deploy capital in our community to make sure that we're able to build homes, we're able to invest in our infrastructure, we're able to welcome people and grow our hospitality environment. And so that's what we're doing. And so we're so excited at the DRA, again, one of 2 nonprofits in our community, to be making investments to build a new 7-story hotel with a rooftop restaurant. We have just completed the renovation of our casino. We are investing in an outdoor amphitheater that is now out on the street, so hopefully all my contractor friends bid on that. And then we're continue to move forward, as I said, later this year in building Island Social, which is a family entertainment center to welcome people. But more than anything else, this investment we're making in ourselves because we believe in ourselves. We want to make sure that there are amenities that whenever you're recruiting people to our community, there's something that we can point to and say, hey, take a look at what we have, right? And so whether or not we've got the Museum of Art that is coming, which I'm so excited about, the Wonderland Gardens that's just going to be simply amazing, or so many of the other things. You got Bluff Strokes that are coming up, the OAS Foundation doing Blocktoberfest, Oktoberfest that was held out in the facility. Whether you remember the JCs or involved in our veterans group or in our arts community, you need to make sure that you're great, right? And so much of what we're saying is that we are allergic, right, to the indignity of low expectations. So if you were sending your son or daughter to school, you would want that teacher to have high expectations for your son or daughter. And so as a community, we can no longer ever again suffer from the indignity of low expectations. We not only deserve nice things, we are willing to work hard for it. And so whether or not you're a recipient or you're here supporting, I thank you, I appreciate you, and have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
I told you he'd inspire, that guy. So I want to do real quick, let's see how many past Rising Stars we have here today. So if you were recognized as a Rising Star sometime going back to 2003, would you please stand? I know there's a few of you in the room. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I'd also like to recognize the committee that made this year's Rising Stars selections. Our committee was Stacy Hines, Anderson Sansi, Jody Stricker, and Mike Fortman. Thank you for these outstanding picks. And now we will begin with recognizing our first Rising Star honoree. And we will start with our first one is Carissa Brown of Dubuque County Public Health.
Treat her to lunch.
Allie very kindly ordered me a personal pizza.
I had taken a few bites of mine and checked in on her, and I said, that looks just like mine.
It was the best thing I've ever had in my entire life. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to order here. After this, I didn't know they made gluten-free pizza like that.
Carissa can't have gluten.
It was not gluten-free. And it was, oh my gosh, I felt bad because she felt so bad.
I worried about her all night, and I still think to this day she probably downplayed her symptoms.
Being a good teammate is a big thing and translates really well into the workplace.
She earned the University of Dubuque Women's Soccer Player Teammate of the Year.
I'd like to think there's a good reason that my teammates voted for me to be a captain was because of the skills that I gained from meeting and talking and having to work with all different kinds of people that I played with on my team.
I think it speaks boldly to her character. Carissa is a leader.
My job is new. So when I started it was from scratch. We were starting from the ground up. So I haven't even been here a year, and so I don't know if many people even know I exist at this point. So I think it's really getting the word out too, like, hey, we have this, we're here to help, we want to use these funds. I'm here specifically to best figure out how we want to use the funds for the county and help you, the public.
She's passionate about what she does, but she does it in a way that's genuine and kind.
Secondary distributors, so like law enforcement, public health, fire departments, and now just community organizations can apply to distribute naloxone, Narcan, into the communities. We apply through an application. They say, yeah, you're a great org. We'll give you Narcan for free, and you give it out for free.
She will meet people where they're at, both literally and figuratively.
People have a hard time sometimes, and our job is to be empathetic, compassionate, and care about others, and work to understand others, and understand people for the way that they are and how they act, and be cool with it. Because until you're ready, sometimes nothing anyone can do or say or offer will make you ready. And all you can do is just be there. So when someone is ready, you're like, okay, great, let's get into it. And I think they say, people relapse on average 7 times. That's just a common thing. There are times when they'll try, you know what, didn't work, okay, here we go again. Like, at least people are still trying, and that's part of my job is, especially with naloxone expansion, which the big point of getting it out there is we can't help people if they're not here, if they're not alive. As long as we reinforce the resources that are out there and keep offering, you hope that one day they'll make that decision to walk through the door, and that'll lead them on the path to recovery.
It was Chris's first day.
Please join me in congratulating Carissa Brown. Our next honoree is Ryan Butler of Cottingham and Butler.
And thank the maitre d's or the chef. He carries on a conversation in Mandarin with the owner of this restaurant, and you could just watch the guy's face light up to be speaking in his native language. And then you could look over at all the C&B employees who were with their mouth open, didn't have any idea Ryan spoke fluent Mandarin. And then you could look at all the other people in the restaurant, the workers that were looking like, who is this guy that speaks fluent Mandarin?
The best advice that I got when I was younger, starting my career out in Shanghai, was plan your career in 3 to 5 year increments. The desire to change jobs and careers every year, every 3 years, because the grass might feel greener on the other side, sometimes can work. But when I look at the individuals who are flourishing beyond their years and having an immense amount of impact on their businesses, on their own personal finances, it's the individuals who put their head down and really become a student of the trade.
When I think back at the largest accounts we've written over the last 5 years, he's been involved in every one of them. Every time he works one of these large accounts, he brings one of the junior guys with him. And then after we write the account, he eventually will fade off. And so what that's done is it's inspired all these guys to write larger and bigger and more sophisticated accounts.
Started as an underwriter. It was incredibly challenging, but as I got deeper into the insurance industry, I realized how beautiful it was. And that allowed me to really start setting up kind of the foundation for my future career at C&B.
Every day we were hopping in airplanes and we were going to prospects and clients all over the country, and we were flying over a lot of really good business. And these aren't farms, these are very large agricultural companies, some of them with sales in the billions of dollars. And we wrote very, very little bit of that business. Today it's about 35% of what we do in the practice.
Went to MIT to gain a little bit more of a technical skill set around econometrics and finance. Loved it, very humbling, a lot of smart professors and peers and students at the university.
And that model of how to start a vertical, a new industry, we've now taken from food and ag into manufacturing and into construction.
The stability that my family has provided me over the years has been the bedrock of my development. There's always good consultation, there's always good advice, and it's always through a lens of caring and love, which is obviously a very comfortable place to be in. It's an interesting emotion that you have when you have kids, right? You don't understand what true, at least I didn't, what true love and affection was until you have your own children. One of the big elements that I hope that I can instill in them is to find a passion and allow them to flourish in that and really have a mission that they want to accomplish during their life. The more economic development and the more involvement that our citizens here have and our residents have at contributing back to making Dubuque a great place, the more people will take note.
We get
Next up, we have Lauren Shashinsky from Cottingham and Butler.
Night, I actually tagged along with Danielle's family.
So I had a little after party at Dimensional with all the people who had repelled and our sponsors and the staff.
She had everybody there that I think is in her entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, kids.
You know, I was buying people, you want a shirt? You want, because they had really cool United Way Dimensional shirt.
I got a t-shirt because all the kids got a t-shirt.
Of course, Lauren was there and she's like, yeah, get me one, get me one.
And then I ended up going to dinner with them.
Like, I'll go with you. So we headed over to the Shot Tower.
We all got pizza. And at the end, everyone's like, did you get a daughter that we didn't know about?
Do you think you're in our family now?
That now is part of the family?
She's like, yes, count me in. She was literally with my family that entire night. So then it became this tradition.
So now every single year since they've done this, so it'll be year 5, I've gone to Dimensional with their family and I've gotten a new t-shirt and we've gone to Shot Tower afterwards. So I think that truly speaks to the family and community that is a nonprofit and the way that they really wrap your arms around people that want to do something and be a part of something. And that's a small story, but it really speaks to how inclusive that Danielle is and that United Way is for our community.
It was just funny because she is normally not like that, but it was my family had a heyday with her and thought it was super, super fun. I think she didn't have a ton of her family with her that night because we didn't know how big of an event it would come to be.
I was right out of college, 2019, so just turned 22, or was turning 22. I didn't really know anybody. I was kind of on the marketing committee and getting my feet wet with United Way. Did the Over the Edge, signed up, raised the $1,200 that you had to raise. Was only a team of one then when we were a CMB.
She had such a good time with it that she wanted to get her company involved. And the next year she had 6 people, and the next year she had 10 people. This has grown to such a big event that now Cottingham Butler is strategically choosing different employees from various departments to integrate and form their team for Over the Edge. And what their value that they see in this not only is raising money, of course, to help people across the tri-states, but it's getting to know their employees better. So somebody from benefits is getting to know somebody from from the HR department.
You become who you surround yourself with. The time you spend with people in your life the most is who you become. You become the 6th, right? So if you surround yourself with hardworking people, you become the 6th hardworking person. If you surround yourself with 5 passionate people, you become the 6th.
The opportunity to brainstorm, how can we raise this money? How can we do this? How can we have fun? That energy, it doubles just like that.
I think I've always gravitated towards people that I want to become. So when you think about who you want to become, really take a step back and focus on who you can surround yourself with that attribute those same qualities, and then spend as much time with them as possible.
Congratulations to Lauren Shushinsky. Our next rising star is Robert Daughters of DuPaco Community Credit Union.
Kind of rocked his world by bringing a whole team with him now and give him this opportunity to have more interaction.
He instantly brings this warmth and friendliness. He's eager to know you, he's genuine, he's eager to know how he can help.
I've always been someone who is motivated by a common cause. You know, I'm someone who wants to be part of something larger than myself. We're, helping others, build a life worth loving, and that's a cause I can definitely believe in.
He certainly walked into a very passionate group that was passionate either for what they thought where the project should go and where someone else thought it should go. And so it really allowed him to jump in, show that he can bring value to the situation by really being in the middle and mediating the conversation back and forth.
He's a sponge. He takes that in, but then he's going to figure out how to do it the most effectively and efficiently that he can. Our help desk was originally located at the Pennsylvania branch, and Robert does live down near the Millwork District, so he would actually bus out to the Pennsylvania branch every day.
And he advocated for different types of ways to get to work, whether it's walking, biking, bus. So he really helped all of us start to think differently about how we get to work, where we go to work, how we interact with the community around where we work, and getting back downtown, down here, really brings us back to our roots.
That really came about because I was riding the bus to work every day, and I saw people who relied on public transportation to get to work or get to their doctor's appointments. I knew that transportation was a real need that people had. So I wanted to be a voice, for those needs at the city advisory level. So I talked to my leaders about, what my intention was, and they told me to go for it. Spent a period of time after college. We moved to Texas for 3 years, and we were removed from friends and family. We spent kind of 3 years away. The biggest difference between a metropolitan area like Dallas-Fort Worth and Dubuque is that Dubuque is small enough to actually form those close-knit connections, with your neighbors. volunteer organizations. So we're small enough to make those connections, but also large enough to actually make a big impact. The most impactful book that I've probably read is called This Life by Martin Haglund. He talks about how precious our time is here in this life. I realize, that every moment matters, and that I have an opportunity every day, to make the most of it.
So we've kind of rocked.
This next guy I've been lucky enough to know since he was a college student at University of Dubuque and worked in our newsroom. And I can tell you that from his tennis shoes to his pens, he's had that design aesthetic since he was a college student. So next rising star is Jay Faust of Gigantic Design Company.
I would see these things and I was like, who's doing this? Like, it's different than what I knew. It was better than what I was doing. And I'm like, how are they doing that? I always had some confidence in myself as a coder or a developer, but I knew my design work was okay, but it wasn't as good as what I was seeing in the community. And I found out that it was Tom and Sean and others at Mission Creative.
There's a lot of talented people that run around doing what he does, right? Designers, I would call him an artist designer first, but also he can code. Not everyone that can code, though, can understand what it takes to create a brand.
He was encouraging, not knowing that he was encouraging us, meaning that he was like, you guys should start a business. What are you gonna do? When are you gonna do this?
Immediately when we started Gigantic, Jay was on the short list of like, hey, as soon as we can, we gotta get that guy over here. And he was our first hire.
Working here and being a part of Gigantic is a big part of my identity, and I try and find times to like inject myself into the company.
Typography is super important to what we do. And if I were to show you websites, you would know which ones are Jay's websites based on his type choices, right? But he takes it even further than that because it's who he is, where he quite literally has designed his own typeface.
I went around with my daughter, we drove all over the downtown area, Millbrook District area, and shot photos and reference photos of all the typefaces on the buildings. There's not like a point A to point B. It's like typefaces they're more optically drawn rather than they are like drawn on like a grid, or which I thought was kind of the case. Characters share like pieces and parts. So you start pulling a character like a C is kind of like has parts of like a D or an F, and you start to find these similarities. What you realize is if you start to like Frankenstein these characters together, they don't actually look natural. So you have to do small adjustments to each character. It comes from a place of like more of like your personal sensibilities rather than some sort of like hard rules or practices.
Loves to talk to people, loves to learn about people, he's inquisitive, all those things.
He's definitely gonna ask you 1,000 questions, but he is not asking them just for the fun of it. Like, he is genuinely interested.
Why am I a curious person? Like when I get nervous in a conversation or if I'm around new people, like my natural like instinct is just to ask questions and talk to people. I definitely like to engage with people and have conversations and understand who they are and what they're doing.
We're a better place because he's here.
I think I've been very grateful, but I wouldn't say I just kind of doing what I'm doing, man. I don't know, like it just kind of works out. I can't explain it anything more than that. You just kind of do your thing, But yeah, I think it's important to like understand, who you are and what you want to be at a higher level, and then you can find places to operate in that feeling.
Congratulations to Jay Faust. Our next rising star is Kyle Cass of HonCamp PC.
Well, other than Kyle's technical background, which was fantastic, he's very likable, and the minute you meet him, he's very easy to talk to. He's very personable, and so as soon as we interviewed him, I think we knew right away that he would be a great fit.
One of the things that Kyle is also really good at is the whole work-life balance. And so I think when you have good work-life balance, you're able to focus on what you need to focus on during the time that you have allotted for that. Kyle does a really good job of making sure that he spends time with his family and sets time aside to do that.
I also like to stay active through coaching my daughters in their sports. I had the experience of my father coaching me for a number of years. That had a lasting impact on my bond with him, as well as I could see my friends that had a lot of positive experiences through that coaching, right? Like life lessons that you learn, on a ball diamond. Things like working together as a team for a common mission. The ability to respond to failure, and the ability to develop work ethic. If you want to be good at something, you got to put in the work, and you got to practice and put in the time. That competitive spirit has kind of changed and evolved as I've gotten older, and so it's more about being kind of a better version of myself day by day.
When you enjoy coming to work every day, everybody does a better job. So we frequently plan social events that we just do as a department, outside of firm-wide events. And so I can think of, like, last summer we did a float trip on a Friday, and the weather was great, and then suddenly it started pouring down rain, and it was the coldest rain you could imagine. And so we're all quickly realized that the river was warmer than not being in the river, and we all just abandoned our kayaks on the shore and went and sat in the river while it rained for 35 minutes.
It was weighing what's important to us too. I mean, at that phase in our life, having new kids at home, that community was a big thing, right, for us. And those priorities probably were quite a bit different when I was 23 and I just graduated college, and I was looking forward to the next concert in the big city, or the next sporting event in the big city. And so I think we always kind of had an open mind about always had an open mind and always reflected on kind of what was important to us, and what was important to us at that stage of the life, and what was coming next for us. So I think that continual reflection I guess was important to us relative to our life stages.
One of the things that Kyle is really good at is just not getting caught in the weeds. He does a great job when he's coaching team members of saying, so let's take a step back. What are we really trying to accomplish here, and how can we get there?
He was newly married, as far as I recall, and he had to go back and forth from Kansas City, Wichita.
Our next rising star is Ryan Koopman of Conlin Construction.
Newly married, as far as I recall, and he had to go back and forth from Kansas City, Wichita, Sioux City. So he spent a couple years on the road, which was service to the company for sure. Not everyone is willing to do that.
When you first come in and you see my picture, I saw that this morning, and I thought, there's a Steve Huss for you again. That's all Steve. Throw my baby picture up there. So I know Steve Huss here in the office. He just told me this morning, he was asking me questions about me being OCD. I said, no, why would you ask something like that, Steve? And I started to kind of figure out everything in my office in the last couple of weeks has been put in a different spot. It wasn't like it was just little moves here and there. It was, we're going to take everything that's on this desk and put it on the other side of the room. So yeah, that's fine. Having an office that's stuffy isn't always the best place, and I think we like to keep it pretty lighthearted around here.
I'm really impressed by his service to his family, to his community.
My wife and I often say that it takes a village, and we have a pretty good village around us, so we're pretty fortunate to have that.
She's a mover and shaker too. Lynette's a great woman. I think she's a great partner for Ryan. She understands what he needs to do for his career, and I think he understands what she needs to do to make her career successful, so they balance each other out really well, I think.
My mom and dad, the amount that they gave to their careers was, I guess, looking back, pretty inspiring. Big portion of that would have to be not only what they gave to their careers, but what they were able to be involved in, whether it was my dad with the fire department or my mom and the numerous different organizations she was involved in.
He's very proud of the Dyersville community. He grew up there. He's a Beckman boy, so I think getting back there, building a house there for he and Lynette, it's something that he had wanted to do, and I'm glad that he's made that a reality.
Being able to drive past that job with your kids and say, yeah, I was a part of that, and then kind of see your kids, I got young kids, 3 kids under 6 at the moment, and they sometimes I think kind of look at you like you're Superman, so that's a pretty cool thing.
You have to be willing to let your guard down. It really speaks volumes about your character when you can let people in, if you will. He's not afraid to come and talk to me sometimes, just to sit down and ask my advice on how to deal with a client issue or how to pursue a path in what he's doing, working with an owner. I appreciate that. Not everyone's capable of reaching out like that. They think that it makes them look weak in a sense, but I enjoy when he comes and just sits down and we shoot the breeze.
Working with integrity, and you're going to find that just treating people right and being honest is going to get you a lot. It's always easy to fall back to telling the truth and not having to worry about where we came from or how we got to where we're at. If it's just you provide the facts and you move from there.
Our next rising star is Brandon Lynch of Dubuque Bank and Trust.
I think of Brandon as just being this super nice guy. I find it very hard to believe that he can actively punch people in the face and or get punched in the face by others. So I'm always genuinely surprised that Brandon does that, but it's a big part of his life and helps him become a well-rounded person.
One of the concepts that I would take from jiu-jitsu and translate that into my life is the white belt mentality, which is coming into any situation like it's new to you and you've never experienced, but translating that into life, I think going into any situation with an open mind and an eagerness to learn and keeping the ego in check and not being too frustrated if it is something that you're not familiar with is just crucial.
He's very involved with the community, grew up in Dubuque, went to school at Iowa State, came back home. He's very involved with several charitable organizations, centrally rooted, does local jiu-jitsu himself. He's very much involved with the community like his father was before him.
Both my mom and dad were pretty heavily involved in their passions and organizations that really meant a lot to them. My father continues that to this day, so being able to follow in those footsteps is pretty special too.
All of those things really resonate with customers. He truly cares about their business. Brandon's not the kind of guy that's going to sell someone just to get a larger bonus at the end of the year. He wants to see great success out of his customers, and he really wants to help them get to that place. Sits down, gets to know them, sees where they want to be in the future, and helps them achieve their goal.
The white belt's the very newest. You're starting day one. Black belt would be, I would say, kind of at that point where you've learned, you've experienced, you've become kind of a master, but not to say that you're not still learning after that. Really with that and in life, it's a constant journey. You're always learning, you're always seeing new things, and really it's for your own personal development, and why stop there?
Stay involved with your community. Do everything that you can to be involved. There's lots of different ways to get involved with the local community. Find things that you're passionate about, get involved with your community, and it resonates throughout the community with other coworkers, people within the community, leaders within the community, and it can really help advance your career, and it's very fulfilling to yourself to be so involved in a small community such as Dubuque.
Scott really enlightened me to the power of partnership when it comes to interacting with our clients. that teamwork approach is a big deal. You know, you can go into situations with yourself and feel confident and have the tools at hand, but sometimes you just need partners and teammates to carry that over the edge and really make it a special interaction.
Listening is a real key in our business of banking. It's real easy for us to tell people what they need, tell them what product they need, but Brandon really likes to listen to his customers, find out what they want, what they need.
Go out there and help your passion. Find something that you really do enjoy doing or being at and interact with those groups and those people and continue to help them develop, because really that'll create a little bit of a symbiotic relationship where they're growing and you're growing along with them and get to enjoy those things that you're helping them with, that you're passionate about.
I'm going to ask my colleague Megan Gloss to do this next introduction because somebody's special to her.
Yes, so this one's very personal to me. So I'm very excited to present this award today to Callie Mesher Fitzgerald. Callie was a classmate of mine at Clark University. We studied in the same voice studio. And about 3 years ago, when she came back to the community to open Centrally Rooted, I reached out to her with this crazy idea to do yoga for musicians. And knowing Callie and her mission and Centrally Rooted, which is based in brain health through the lens of creativity and social expression, and she was automatically embraced this idea. But then in the last 3 years, I've also had the joy of getting to join as a Rooted instructor. So I teach voice with Callie, and I have about 28 students in my studio at Centrally Rooted right now. And it's just been remarkable to watch this studio grow from having 4 music instructors to I think we have 14 or 15 now. So tremendous growth for that organization, and she's been a dear friend, and I just believe so wholeheartedly in what she's doing, and she is so very deserving of this. So this one was very personal to me, so I am very excited to recognize her today. So to Callie.
I was transitioning from an old position in AmeriCorps, and I needed a new one, and they said, we know someone who doesn't have like a connection with us yet, let me reach out to them. And then I got a call, I think like less than 24 hours later. She's interested. I said, she who?
We first met at a Clark music concert, a music event. I was in the music program there, and she said, hey, if you're ever looking for a job, like consider Centrally Rooted.
And we met at Cheryl's Flour Bakery, like F-L-O-U-R. Very nice, good food, I recommend. And we did an interview there and we headed off, and she told me the universe brought us together. 2 people couldn't be more meant to be. I was like, thanks. So it's pretty great.
Programming and her teaching style and her music therapy like brings out parts of our students that are so beneficial for their long-term brain health.
She has laid down some foundation in this community that I hope more people see, and they're like, oh, wow. She's put in the work, because people know in the community and they want to be part of this. A lot of first-time moms are like, oh, my friend has gone to this. I'm excited for when my child is born and I can go too. Here at Centrally Rooted, right now I'm working on this really lovely, it was a handbook, notebook planner, and at the front of it, it's filled with how to approach brain health from teaching music from that perspective. And it doesn't look like I'm now a therapist. It's like, no, that's not my job. I don't have those degrees, but it is this, how can you develop the vocabulary and the consciousness to let someone feel safe in a place where they're being pretty vulnerable with you, learning something new through connecting with someone in a music lesson. That in itself builds a kind of relationship. I feel like that's different than most. It's teacher-student, it's also person-person. And it's pretty beautiful. Anastasia has informed me that she often makes up songs. I'm like, when are you doing this? She goes, in my quiet time in my room, I use your ukulele. I'm like, you do? She goes, yeah, but that's my me time. I'm like, Oh, yeah?
She takes on a lot in life and has been through a lot, and to stay strong and motivated and positive through all of that is something I admire.
Green album, blue album, purple album, yellow album, orange album. And maybe December, January, she's gonna make another album, red album. And each of these albums, completely different songs, talking about all different kinds of social emotional learning concepts for kids to support them.
Our next rising star is Jesse Schaefer of Osterhaus Pharmacy.
We were back in the nursing home section of the pharmacy, and they were cleaning the bathrooms, and one of the technicians said, "Can you smell bleach?" And Jessie walked up and she said, "BLEACHER." And everyone looked at her like, "What are you talking about?" And she doubled down on it and she said it even louder, BLEACHER. We said, "No, can you smell it?" She could spell it.
When I was a teenager and struggling with acne, my local pharmacist was incredibly helpful at telling me how my medication works and how to take it appropriately. And that's really what sparked my interest to become a pharmacist.
Jessie graduated from Southern Illinois University, applied for our residency. We typically have anywhere from 6 to 15 candidates apply, and Jessie was our chosen resident, became our 20th resident.
Finding a mentor is very important. Somebody that is enjoying their work and really wanting to help the next generation. Matt has definitely been a mentor for me throughout the last few years.
She is extremely perceptive about how to build a team. She looks at what has to be done to reach the goals of our business and our practice here, and she is very clear on what she expects out of the staff. She's always quick to compliment people. The heritage that Osterhaus Pharmacy has of being a leader in the community, Jessie has taken that and continued to move that on that same upward path.
Right now, our partnership with the Community Pharmacist Enhanced Service Network has been very impactful for paying pharmacists for their time in educating patients. The reimbursement model is based off of dispensing a drug. The other way is cutting out the middleman. They are taking away that funding for pharmacists getting paid appropriately for their time and effort. There's many bills right now in the legislature that we're trying to change the way that pharmacists are getting paid for their services. Getting involved in your community is very important as well too. I started my involvement with the Rotary Club of Maquoketa very early on. Those relationships that I've built with other Rotarians and other community members have just been blossoming ever since.
I think of a quote from Calvin Coolidge: "Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." And that really is Jessie.
Excellent service and exceptional health-related outcomes. Happy Tuesday.
We were back in the nursing home section of the pharmacy, and they were cleaning the bathrooms, and
Our next rising star is Victoria Vale of Dog Days Dubuque.
Victoria, I have a crazy idea and you're gonna laugh. And she's like, give it to me. And I told her we should start a dog mom club.
I do feed my dog a raw diet. I'm pretty picky about what he gets. I don't let him just beg and get table scraps. So every event that we have, Lauren's always there feeding my dog treats, whether it's Happy Tails treats, pup cups.
And I was definitely the one feeding him all of those pup cups. He didn't have 5, Victoria, I promise. It was like 2.
I found that when I started my business, it really lacked dog services in general, and since I've opened, it's really come a long way. There's a lot of like really great businesses. You know, Lauren and I started the Dog Mom Club.
We call it Dog Mom Club because it's a fun title, but it's evolved so much where now it's dog dads come, the kids come. So the event that's coming up, we are doing it at Schuster's Pumpkin Patch, Monday, September 23rd. We're having Robin Horner come and do professional pictures. You get to pick out a pumpkin with your dog, do a little tractor ride, and then probably a little craft as well. Penny, my dog, comes to Dog Days Dubuque on Tuesdays.
I was always told that I should be a vet, so I decided to apply to Iowa State and do their pre-vet program. I was taking a lot of animal science classes and biology classes.
She knows who Penny plays well with. She knows Penny's energy level. Victoria's very strategic when it comes to what dogs are playing together at what time, how long they've been playing together.
Some companion animal classes, and specifically really enjoyed nutrition courses that I was taking, learning about pet food.
They even do like a healthy, pet-friendly treat. So I think this week it was lunch boxes for the dogs because back to school.
Business class that had me write a business plan. So there were very valuable things with going to school.
And then each day Penny comes home with a report card. So it says how her day was, how she's doing on her vaccinations, if they're coming due anytime soon. It says who she played with, so who her best friend was for the day, and if she ate her treats, if she took a nap.
I had an internship at a zoo, the Racine Zoo in Racine, Wisconsin. The coolest thing was they'd get out these canvases and make the animals like make a painting, and then that's what they sold in the gift shop in order to raise money to care for the animals.
They did a little paw print activity that Penny came home with yesterday, and it was a little apple of Penny's. It was a paw print that looked like an apple, and then a little stem for back to school, and then they even did school pictures.
I like being outside. I like hanging out with the dogs. I didn't want them to come in and be afraid of me. I moved back to Dubuque, and I learned pretty quickly, working as a vet assistant at a local vet clinic, that the dogs come in, they're afraid of you, you have to restrain them and give them shots and do surgeries, and it just kind of bored me, if I'm being honest. And I guess with this job, it really gave me the opportunity to have the dogs come in and like me and like want to come here and hang out and build a connection with them.
I was like, Victoria,
Our final rising star today is Sam Wooden of RSH Legal.
I heard a lot of buzz about Sam because he was going to law school in Kentucky. I think he wore a seersucker suit one of the first days that he came to the courthouse. He had long hair, and everybody knew that he was this country music performer and songwriter.
So when I was 25 and graduated law school, I wanted to become Garth Brooks. And I set myself a really hard deadline that I'm gonna move to Nashville for 5 years, and if I'm not Garth Brooks after 5 years or see a path to become Garth Brooks, I'm out of here. This won't surprise you. I am not Garth Brooks.
And we'd go to these shows, his whole family would be there. And, you know, not just whole family, but friends, neighbors, his grandparents.
They stopped, they watched me for an hour or two, and the next week, Erin, my wife's mentor, was like, I met this guy this weekend, and I really think you should date him. He's a lawyer, and he's a country singer. And my wife says, now wife, That's a pass and a pass from me.
I'm like, are you gonna ask this girl out? And he's like, oh, no. Like, I don't know that she's interested in me. I'm like, well, don't you think you need to make a first step?
All I could do was surprise her. Yeah, I had nowhere to go but up.
Sent a huge flower bouquet down to where she's researching, and Sam paced back and forth in front of my office the whole day. And he didn't hear from her, and he's like, you shouldn't have pushed me to do this. I knew that this was a bad idea. I hear him hang up the phone, and he just like screams like a happy scream. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, the florist delivered the flowers, but there was no cart. She finally called me and was like, did you send me flowers? And Sam, who had been just sweating the whole day, was like, yes, I like you, and I want to ask you out. And now they're married with 2 beautiful children.
I guess I'd say for any profession, like, find a spouse who gets it, find a spouse who is supportive of what you want to do, because I have the best wife.
Sam has this real fierce sense of justice. He loves going to bat for those who need a strong advocate, and a lot of times he do so at his own expense. He's got a lot of confidence in the right areas to be a great attorney and advocate, but he also has a good ability to meet people at their level.
Like, when I fall in love with a client, that is when I know I'm going to have a really good result.
He filed probably one of the first class action lawsuits in Dubuque against some landlords. There was an employer in town who was using non-compete contracts for people earning less than minimum wage.
And I can easily rattle off 10 names of people like, no, I love that person. And they all got a good result. I think it comes down to like finding what you want to do and then figure out how to make it your own.
I heard a lot of
Thank you to everybody for taking out time in your day to honor these young people. You know, there's some really great initiatives and projects going on in the greater Dubuque area right now, and with this group of young leaders taking us into the years ahead, I really think there's a lot to look forward to. Thanks to Keith Rippey and the Diamond Joe staff for the outstanding service and food today. On behalf of TH Media on biztimes.biz and our sponsor DB&T, thank you for all you do in the community. I know that if you came out today to honor these rising stars, you're probably cut of that same cloth yourself. So thank you for all you do and have a great day.